Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's presentation in our Collegiate Recovery webinar series. My name is Olivia Pinelli, and I'll be your host today. We're joined by Christina Canfield, the Substance Abuse Prevention and Recovery Coordinator of the University of Alabama. The topic of today's presentation is a Collegiate Recovery Spotlight webinar on the University of Alabama at Birmingham. These webinars are hosted by the Association of Recovery in Higher Education in order to support the growth and development of the collegiate recovery field. Just a few reminders in order to support the and logistics before we start and turn things over to Christina. Today's webinar will be recorded and uploaded to YouTube on the ARHE website. You'll be able to go back and access all the information at that time. If you have any questions for our presenter, if you look at the bottom of your screen, you'll see a Q&A box. If you enter those, then we'll get to as many of those as we can. Supplemental materials like presentations, if you request them, we can provide them to you after the presentation. If you're having any technical difficulties or any logistical questions, please feel free to message us. You can select the panelists and we will get back to you. We're always looking for ways to improve, topics to cover, and any other feedback from our attendees. So feel free to reach out to us at any time and let us know about your experience today. Now, before I turn things over to Christina, I just want to read a quick bio. Christina is a person in long-term recovery who attended Ohio University in Athens, where she earned both her bachelor's degree in history and master's degree in college student personnel. During her time at Ohio University, Christina helped establish the Collegiate Recovery Community in order to assist students in or seeking recovery from substance use disorders on that campus. After graduation, she worked in an inpatient treatment facility where she continued to gain valuable experience in the continuum of care for substance use disorders. Before coming to the University of Alabama at Birmingham, she was employed as the program coordinator for the Collegiate Recovery Program at the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley. She is passionate about recovery advocacy, overdose prevention, health promotion, and alcohol and drug prevention and intervention. It was a bit of a mouthful. But thank you so much for joining us today. So I'm going to turn things over to you now.
Great. Thank you so much, Olivia. And thanks to ARHE for asking me to spotlight our community here at the University of Alabama at Birmingham. I'm really excited. I mean, it's a time for me to get to brag about what we've been doing here. So I feel like a proud mom. So let me get here. First I want to introduce everyone to myself. My name is Christina Canfield. My pronouns are she and her. I do have this super long title at UAB, Substance Abuse Prevention and Recovery Coordinator. I'll talk a little bit towards the end of the presentation about that title, and everything will be changing, we're hoping, next fiscal year. We had a few roadblocks with COVID, which I'm sure everyone's experiencing. I've been at UAB since April 2018. As Olivia said, prior to that, I was at UTRGV in Edinburgh and Brownsville, Texas. Spent several years working in inpatient and outpatient treatment in Ohio and West Virginia. And prior to that was at Ohio University, which is my alma mater. We have one other staff member, and his name is Benton Crane. He's not with us today on the webinar, but I'm pretty sure that I could not do my job or maybe survive without Benton's assistance. His official title right now is CRC Assistant Program Coordinator. And what's really neat about Benton is he's actually one of our former students. So he started his time here at the CRC as one of our student assistant in our student assistant position. And we were able to transition that position into a professional staff position. And now he works for us part-time. So it's kind of neat to have someone transition from student to professional staff member. And I'm so grateful to have him with us. I've been in and out of collegiate recovery since 2010, when we started the CRC at Ohio University, and just, absolutely love that I get to work at UAB today. I really, really love working here and being in Birmingham. If you're not familiar with UAB, we're about 40 45 minutes to an hour west of Tuscaloosa, where most people know the University of Alabama. We are all part of the University of Alabama system, right? We're a public institution. We're in downtown Birmingham. This is a very urban institution. Even though the picture on your screen looks very serene, this is probably one of my favorite parts of campus out there on the green, but very, very urban, situated in downtown Birmingham. I think I learned in orientation a couple years ago, like exactly how many city blocks we take up. It's a lot. I can't remember when. And so we are also, UAB Hospital is a huge part of our institution as well. We have an academic medical center. It's the third largest public hospital in the United States. It's huge. We're the single largest employer in the state of Alabama. And, have some accolades, right? Recognized as the diversity champion by Insight Magazine in 2018, and still ranked the #1 young university by the Times of Higher Education. So it's a really exciting time to be at UAB too. And on top of that, like not just bragging on my institution, I have to brag a little bit on our administration when it comes to collegiate recovery. Because I've just never felt so supported by an administration when it comes to supporting our students and are seeking recovery while they're here. Their support of, founding the Collegiate Recovery Community back in 2015, all the way to what we've been doing the last couple of years has been instrumental in our growth. And I can't speak highly enough about that and what it feels like to just be supported, by administration here as well. So a little bit about us, of course, we, like most CRCs, right, around the country, support and serve our students in or seeking recovery from substance use disorders. We do offer meetings many days of the week. We have our open recovery meeting that's really focused on our students here at UAB. Though some other people do drop in from time to time. That's every Thursday at 6 p.m. And then we also have 12-step meetings various nights of the week as well. Of course, right now everything is virtual, which I'll talk more about as well. So we're a non-clinical program, so we focus a lot on social support, that peer-to-peer support model, and events, and just raising awareness on campus and helping support our students academically as much as possible. So a little bit of an overview. As I said before, we were formed in 2015. It was a couple of people who work in our student counseling services department. One of them, who's still my supervisor today, Dr. Angela Stowe, who's the director of student counseling services. A couple of the therapists that were in the office at the time, really all came together, and also one of our doctors in student health. We're really that like key team that started to bring together this idea of having a collegiate recovery community. Dr. Stowe had learned about this concept at a different conference she was attending, and has just, I would say, has been probably our biggest, most consistent cheerleader from day one. Her support and belief in collegiate recovery and just tireless advocacy has, again, been this key component of our growth since 2015. The first dedicated staff we really had was Taylor Milam, who is now also one of our alums and does collegiate recovery work in Oregon. I think it's always a little exciting when you have a student who graduates and just catches that fire for this field and goes on and blazes their own path somewhere else. And so Taylor was really, I have to give Taylor a lot of credit for laying the groundwork that for my position and for me to be able to come to Birmingham. Without the work that Taylor did prior to my position being created, I don't think we would have what we have today. So Taylor, if you're watching, we miss you here in Birmingham, and I'm super proud of the work you're doing out there in Oregon. We started under the umbrella of Student Health and Wellness, which is a part of the Division of Student Affairs. And it's a little confusing. We were kind of born out of student counseling services, but around the same time, the Department of Wellness Promotion was also being formed. And so the Collegiate Recovery Community eventually went under Wellness Promotion. And that's where we've really been since I came on, since April 2018. And because my job, the reason it's substance abuse prevention and recovery coordinator is I split my time between alcohol and other drug education and prevention and managing the collegiate recovery community. So like full spectrum of services from this individual. And so it made sense for it to just be under wellness promotion for a good period of time. We are currently transitioning, though, from wellness promotion to student counseling services. So while my position has remained the same, I spend about half my time working with the staff in wellness promotion, and then the other half of my time working with student counseling services, which now that the CRC is part of that now. It's a little confusing. We're just in transition. COVID threw a huge just kind of wrench in some of the plans we had moving into fall 2020, and that's okay. The name of the game is always flexibility, and I have faith that we're going to continue that transition into 2021 and next fiscal year. The hope, right, and the goal is that eventually my time will be 100% dedicated to the CRC, and wellness promotion will take over the time doing the AOD prevention and education, which I also love doing. Absolutely love doing the AOD component at our campus as well. Our eventual goal is to be an independent department. That's not just from me. That is we're in the midst of strategic planning right now. With Dr. Stowe as a CRC staff, really looking towards building out a strategic plan for the next 5 years. And that's the talk, like not just from the CRC staff, but even, from mid-level administration, upper administration. The goal that even UAB has is to really see us expand into being our independent department under the Division of Student Affairs, which is super exciting. And I love that it's not just my goal, right? It's their goal as well. We average about 15 member students. And so the difference between the 15 member students and about that dozen or so that hang around is our members sign essentially a contract, an agreement with us, and they need to have 6 months of recovery or more. And the contract is really just like them investing in their own recovery process and abiding by the rules of the space, which I will also talk more about. The main reason we require the contract is really because of the space. They have 24/7 access to our collegiate recovery community space. And so that kind of gives us a little bit of an understanding of the responsibilities on both people when you have that kind of access to a space on campus. This dozen or so other students, they may have less than 6 months. They may just be like recovery curious, trying to figure things out. I have a great relationship with student conduct and outreach, who will often just sort of nudge students like, hey, go check this place out. Like, not as a punishment, right? But like, maybe just go talk to this lady over here, maybe check out their services. Maybe it's something you might be interested in. And so we do end up having students that just sort of come around, maybe become friends with some of our students, are trying to figure out if recovery is the thing for them. And what I love is that they're really welcomed with open arms. So we are non-clinical, as I said before, but we do have that solid partnership with student counseling. And then this really unique component at UAB is that we also have the addiction recovery program in UAB Center for Psychiatric Medicine. So we're a huge medical institution, right? We have this huge hospital. And part of that hospital is the UAB Center for Psychiatric Medicine. And the addiction recovery program was really instrumental, another one of those instrumental partners in founding the CRC back in 2015. They've since changed the services they offer, but they do offer short-term inpatient detox, intensive outpatient programming, different types of clinics, different types of clinical support. So what's kind of cool about that is if I'm working with a student who has either experienced a return to use, or a student who needs that clinical component that's maybe a higher level of care than our student counseling services office can give them, this partnership with the addiction recovery program means that I can get someone into either short-term inpatient detox or IOP pretty quickly, and very often covered by their required student insurance. So it's just this really unique piece at UAB that I haven't heard about from if any, many other places. So I kind of feel the need to brag on ARP over there at the hospital. And so I've mentioned our space, which I feel like is just it's just such a monumental landmark moment in building this community. You can see me and Benton standing outside the front doors of our brand new space. From the beginning, UAB invested in the idea that a physical space on campus was crucial to supporting a collegiate recovery community. And so our very first space was the old West House. I kind of dig up a picture to put in this PowerPoint and I couldn't find one fast enough. But it was this cute little, very old brick house, also known as the 1715 building. And they gave us that space. So grateful for that. That's really where our roots were long before I even came on board at UAB. And but it was always set for demolition. Like even like the day like they put Taylor's office in there, the day that they designated that space for the CRC, it was pretty much like, don't get too attached because this building is eventually scheduled for demolition, because like growth of an urban institution. You can't really expand out, so you either expand up or you demolish old buildings to make way for the new. So for years it was don't get too attached. And eventually in early 2019, we moved out of the old wellness house. At some point it just became a little bit of a hazard as they were starting construction around it, and so we needed to move out for safety for our students. And we were just sort of like couch surfing, I like to say, in the Student Health and Wellness Center, which was across the street. Wellness Promotion, which is housed over there. We really kind of lived in their office, in their peer educator's office, and in the classroom for Wellness Promotion for quite a while. And that building was sadly demolished in the summer of 2019. Ironically, during one of our recovery meetings, like it was standing before the meeting started and then it was gone by the time the meeting ended that night. So, but during this process, we were talking about a new space. And again, our administration completely invested in having a physical space. There were different ideas about where that space should be. Lots of conversation, lots of back and forth of what would work and didn't work. It was really important to me that there was access to a space from outside 24/7, obviously, because it's one of the kind of perks we offer our students, but also like some privacy too. Like, is it great to be inside of a student center? Yes, but if my student center closes at 9 or 10 p.m. and then my students can't access that space, is that really the right place for us? And I think that has a lot to do with just culture of every institution. But for the culture at our institution and the culture of my students, I knew we needed like individual outside direct access to the space. So we, went back and forth about different spaces on campus and eventually landed on where we are now. And I would love to share with y'all, outside of this webinar, like before and after pictures of this space. So it's interesting. It's like a little, it's like a strip mall, for lack of better words. Okay, it's on campus, and there's a well-established restaurant to the right of us, and then this was just empty office space for quite some time. And they ended up dividing the space and completely renovating it. I mean, y'all, like really renovating it. Like I have pictures of like holes in the literal ceiling, like before they finished renovating. So they turned it into a skylight, by the way. It's beautiful. So they ended up renovating this space and the space next door to us, and now we have our space, and then Subway's to the left of us. And I have to tell y'all, I don't know if it's a great thing or a terrible thing because my office always smells like bread. So we have that. But so it's kind of on the edge of campus, but there's parking, which I think our students love, especially in an urban institution. And just the fact that our administration was invested in not only renovating this beautiful space for us, but making sure our students in recovery had a home. So we do have a couple of offices for our staff. I'll show you pictures of our meditation room, our lounge. We have a meeting room, which is also kind of like a kitchen. And again, our students have 24/7 access. You can't see it because I'm blocking it in this picture, but right behind me is a like card scanner where they can scan their ID to gain access to the building. And so we can also track like who's in, the space at any given time for safety reasons. But this is it. Like, these are pictures of our beautiful new space. You can see like kind of in the top, that's our meditation room where you see all of the pillows and everything. Our main living area, I tend to call it, that main lounge room. We have a TV, there's an Xbox. I may or may not have blisters on my thumb right now from playing Mortal Kombat with Benton not too long ago. We do have a pool table. The pool is out of commission right now because of COVID, but it does flip into like an air hockey table and a ping pong table. And so we can still play air hockey or ping pong. There's our kitchen / meeting area, which you can see here. And so these are just different pictures kind of giving you an idea of this amazing renovated space that UAB has invested in for us. And I feel, this is home. This is home for us for sure. And okay, so I want to start talking a little bit about like our key social events. So we talk about the social, that peer-to-peer support model for our collegiate recovery community. And we do have some key social events that we, invest a lot of time and resources into. I think probably our most popular is the 4th of July Shindig, which is like the original key event founded by, Taylor and the folks that came before me. And we just kind of kept it going. It is indeed on the 4th of July. I don't know many other campuses that have like a major event on the 4th of July. And it's open to the entire recovery community. So it's not just for our students at UAB. We truly advertise it out to the entire recovery community in Birmingham, and they show up. It is very well attended. And we were very sad to have to cancel that this summer for safety purposes, of course. But it's become a staple within the broader recovery community. There's a live band. There's a band that some of our students were in, and so we sort of have just worked with them over the years to provide the entertainment. We have food, there's games, and truly an awesome view of the Birmingham fireworks. And I would say pretty regularly we have almost 200 people at this event every year. So it's a major undertaking, but clearly one of the favorites. We always celebrate National Recovery Month in September. It's usually a series of events. We don't typically do like just one thing. We've done recovery ally workshops. We have had a comedy night before. That was something we were planning on doing again this year, and we've just kind of pushed off till next year. And then lots of social media campaigns, which are actually really popular. One thing we try to do every September is we ask our students who are willing to do so to be and just in the spotlight on social media and to talk not only about what collegiate recovery means to them, but recovery in general. And that just, it's one of my favorite social media campaigns we do because, I love our students so much. And so seeing them, be vulnerable and share their story, out with the world, it makes me super proud. So we just get a lot of movement on social media from that. Sobertober is another one that's been around since before my time. We've just kept going, and this is really for our students here at UAB. This is a picture from last year, pumpkin carving. That's pretty much it. It's like a fun little Halloween party. Last year we did it potluck style, and Benton made feet loaf, which is meatloaf in the shape of feet, and I'm sure he will share pictures. But again, just another opportunity for our students to come together and just have a really, really good time. We did our first sober tailgate last fall in November, and it was a big partnership with the Division of Student Affairs, who helped really fund that for us, and some local recovery agencies as well. What's really neat is we set up in the student village for tailgating. So at UAB, at the football field, there's like different villages in the tailgating areas, and we set up right in student village. So right across from us are different fraternities set up their tailgating spots. And it's just so cool, like how many of the fraternity members actually came over and like interacted with us, and and we're so supportive and wanted to know more. And we have a really good relationship with a couple of fraternities on campus. It helps that I advise one fraternity on campus, who are truly, active allies for us as well. And then finally, we do socials. We try to do them every month. So pre-COVID, these things looked like laser tag, bowling nights, game nights, haunted houses. Since COVID has happened, and I'll talk a little bit more about this in another slide, we are still doing monthly socials. They just look a little different. Though I know we are all itching to get back to laser tag, and I just want this on record, like recorded forever. All right. We've played laser tag twice against the University of Alabama, and we are the reigning champions. So that's recorded. It's like part of the record. I'm sure we're going to get a rematch at some point. So laser tag, very popular social event for us. And so, just some of the stats for what academic year 1920 looked like for us last year. We officially had 16 member students with those signed contracts I mentioned. We had 12 non-member students, so less than 6 months of recovery, or kind of like recovery curious students coming around who were participating in meetings or activities. I also have historically provided a lot of non-clinical case management services. And I'm talking a little bit more about how that's kind of morphing into our goals we have for the future. We also have 4 active community volunteers. So these are young people in recovery who aren't students at UAB, but very adjacent. And so they come around a lot. And what's interesting about that is it's often one of our best recruitment tools, is when other young people in recovery know young people in recovery in our CRC, and they start coming around, they hang out at our socials and our meetings, and they're like, I want to go to UAB. So, we stay pretty open to that. In spring 2020, we had 5 students graduate, which was, we did a virtual graduation. It was super emotional, really awesome. And our average GPA as of spring 2020 among our 16 students was 3.44, which I'm really proud of. And I think they should be really proud of. I survey our graduates at the end of their time here at UAB, and so far, all of them, 100% of them, have agreed on these points, that there was some impact on them graduating when they planned to graduate by being involved in the CRC, that being involved in the CRC improved their relationship with UAB as a whole, which, especially as a person with a student affairs background, that relationship with the university, and the next one, their sense of belonging on campus, like that's crucial for me. I want to see that. That's how we retain students, not just as CRCs, but as an institution. And then what's really cool is 100% of our graduates last year plan to continue their education with an advanced degree, and many of them have returned to UAB. Not all of them, but many of them have. And I think that speaks, for our community, but also for our institution as well. And I'm always happy to have them, stick around for a couple more years. We do have some key partnerships. Ben and I are 2 people, and on top of that, we're 2 people who, like, 50% of their time is dedicated to the CRC. And so we have to be really strategic with how do we get things done, because we can't be all things to all people. And so our partnerships are just key. One of the coolest partnerships I think we have is with Parent and Family Services. So when I came on to UAB, one of my first goals was I wanted to get something out there that helped parents and families talk to their incoming students about drugs and alcohol. We got a grant for that from the Division of Student Affairs. Our original plan was to adopt the piece of literature that's already out there, and we got tasked with creating one that was specific to UAB. Which we did. We invested a lot of time in. And so the result of that was the Blazer Well Family Guide to Discussing Alcohol and Other Drugs. And every single family or parent of every single incoming student gets a copy of this. It was an awesome investment, again, from the Division of Student Affairs. And what's neat is our CRC has a 2-page spread in this publication. So from the moment a student is coming into UAB, we're at least making their families aware that the CRC exists. Here are the services we offer. Here's how you can get in touch with us. Here's how you can get involved. From day one, from orientation, we're helping people learn about our existence on campus. Since we've moved from underneath the wellness promotion umbrella and into student counseling services, we do continue our partnership with wellness promotion, especially for our Recovery Ally workshop, Blazers for Recovery. Our promoters of wellness, or PALs, are peer health educators, and I do co-advise them with Mandy Parente, who's our interpersonal violence prevention coordinator in wellness promotion. So that partnership with peer health education is critical. I love that we've been able to kind of keep that even as the CRC has moved under a different department. And truly, I rely on the PALs to be our recovery allies training other recovery allies. And peer education is just so powerful. And for me, like, my philosophy when it comes to recovery ally training is like, sure, as a person in recovery, as the manager of the CRC, yeah, I can go out and do these trainings with my eyes closed, like I can do this in my sleep. My students in recovery could also do these trainings, but how powerful is it when you have an actual recovery ally, like a peer health educator, training other recovery allies? That just brings another layer of like peer-to-peer education, in my opinion. And so that partnership is crucial. And then finally, the Jefferson County Department of Health is also a huge partner for us. They are really our access to naloxone and naloxone trainings. The Alabama law is that only a prescriber can distribute naloxone. And so, like, me of myself, I can't like train or disperse naloxone to anyone in the state of Alabama. Even though like those were things I could do when I worked in Texas. I can't do that here because of state laws. And so building this relationship with our Department of Health, which is right off campus, right across the street, and their naloxone program has been very successful. And so we've offered many naloxone trainings and dispersed quite a number of doses of naloxone out into the broader UAB community. And these are all the partnerships: housing, residence life, conduct and outreach is another one, student health. I think any way that I can find to connect with and build a relationship with another department is something else we're gonna not just get done, but do well on our campus, because I can't do it all, no matter how much I try. So of course, I couldn't talk about our program without talking about the last 7 months of what's been happening across the entire world, really, and that's meeting the challenges of COVID. Funny story, not funny, it was actually scary. The days before our university shut down in March, I was in our space. Our students were having a meeting. It was a Tuesday night, and I started feeling like very sick. I was like, I think I'm feeling feverish. Like, I have to leave. And so like I didn't even say goodbye to anyone. I just like texted Benton and was like, I don't feel good. I'm out. I'm very adamant about, if you are sniffling, like, you do not walk into this space. You stay home. And so, following my own rules, I went home. And over the next like 48 hours, like, the news breaks and this is like unfolding, and I'm like, feeling like literal death, like lying in my bed with this like 104-degree temperature, having to, it was the flu, by the way. It was a very awkward time to have the flu. All right. But I did have to go through COVID testing and everything at a time when it was like extremely difficult to get a test, and just like trying to pivot our entire community to meet what was happening right then. Just, for all of the colleagues I've communicated with since March, I know it's been a huge challenge, but man, it was just a time I'll never forget in my career at all. we were able to really, get those recovery support meetings online immediately. We, leveraged our, Zoom account, and we just went right for it. And I will say those were heavily attended early on. I think as all of us were very confused and seeking that interaction with each other. It's tapered off since then. I've heard that from a lot of other programs, and that's okay. I too get tired of staring at a Zoom screen all day, all day. Virtual socials have been clutch in this time. We have done things like game nights. Trivia night has been super popular. They get super competitive. I'm also happy to share the trivia night stuff with anybody who wants it, because I've like built out the questions and the rounds and the point systems, and it's all in a Google Doc. So happy to share that with anyone and talk about logistics with that. We did a welcome back pizza party the first day of school. And the way that we coordinated this was I had our students who wanted to participate RSVP, and then I went and bought pizzas, and then I delivered them to their houses. And that way there was like some, at least half face-to-face interaction. And it just, after 6 months of like not seeing humans, having Mesa, for example, open her door to get her pizza, just, it did something for my heart, and, as well as theirs. So then we all got on Zoom after the pizzas were delivered, and we had a pizza party together. We're going to do that with Sobertober as well. Instead of pizza, I'm delivering a Sobertober care package to all of the students, which includes a pumpkin and a pumpkin carving kit and lots of goodies. So kind of like reverse trick or treat, but with a pumpkin. And then we're going to carve pumpkins together on Zoom. And I believe there was a vote to play Among Us on Zoom as well. So we're going to have some fun with that. And I just want to say, like, my experience has been that no gesture is too small. I've, sending handwritten notes and cards to my students, especially acknowledging their recovery birthdays, whether that's sending them a medallion or giving them a shout out in the group me, just different things. Checking in regularly with them. If I don't see or hear from you on Zoom for a week, I'm probably going to just pick up the phone and be like, yo, what's going on? How you doing? And I've seen a lot of that like peer-to-peer too, which is just phenomenal. We've increased our social media presence in a big way. And part of that was establishing an Instagram account, really to reach the students at UAB. We've always had a Facebook account. It's always been very popular, but popular outside of the students at UAB. And so in order to communicate more with UAB students, we developed our Instagram, and we had virtual drop-in hours. Now that we're on campus, I'm here 2 days a week, Benton's here 2 days a week. We just have like regular drop-in hours, but students can also request to just meet on Zoom if they're not comfortable being in person. And this picture I included was from, I think it's from back in March or April. Our graduate school had a competition called Say It in 6, and ours got featured on there. So this was my first home office in the pandemic, in my bedroom. I've since moved to the basement, which also doubles as a classroom for my daughter. So it's fun times. So I mentioned a little bit about our goals in the upcoming years. My biggest one is establishing scholarships, like academic scholarships. We've had travel scholarships for students. We've been able to send them to the national conference for ARHE, as well as some regional things in the Southeast. But my big goal is let's get these academic scholarships established. To increase staffing, that means changing my position to hopefully an assistant director position under student counseling services, where I can focus solely on the collegiate recovery community, instead of splitting my time. And we'll see. That's a goal that I think is not just mine, that we're working towards. And also, we would love to have Benton move from part-time to full-time coordinator as well. And these things just take time. Nothing moves quickly in the world of higher education. And so a lot of it is just continual patience and advocacy. And I feel really confident that I have just some amazing human beings who want to see this program grow and thrive, the director of student counseling services, our AVP, all the way up the chain there. Also, we have a big goal to build out a continuum of care on campus to increase student support. That includes like not just the prevention piece, but intervention, and then working with the addiction recovery program or other local resources for connection to treatment, and then reintegrating back onto campus for the recovery component. And that's a lot of that stuff is just in the big idea stage, but I have total faith that we're going to be able to really build out a solid continuum of care for our students here at UAB. So this is how you can get in touch with me. My email address is on there. Please check out our website, which is, I think, always under construction. And I feel like as soon as you publish something to a website, it's out of date. Like as soon as you like publish it, it's, it has to be constantly updated. And that's the office phone number. If I'm not in the office, the voicemail does go directly to my email. So I will still get your voicemail even if I am not in the office. And I just, I think at this time, it's a good time for any questions that people may have.
I got a couple.
Yay.
That was wonderful. Thank you. So let's start with this one. Who has been the most influential to you in this process?
At UAB?
Yeah, or within collegiate recovery?
Oh gosh. That's like a loaded question.
Blame Tim for that.
Thanks. Is it because he wants me to say him? No, I'm just kidding. You better be laughing right now.
He is great though.
Oh gosh, it's so hard because I don't know that I can pinpoint like one person. And I think that's what I love about collegiate recovery is I know that I can call upon anyone, across the country and be like, hey, I need your input on this, or what's your experience with that, or what have you done for this type of programming? I feel like it's so hard to say like one person. I will say that when I was living in Texas, Sierra Castedo was just an amazing mentor for me as I was re-entering the world of collegiate recovery. Just ever patient and, just an amazing mentor for me. Here at UAB, I would be remiss if I did not mention our former AVP, Jake Baggett, who's now at the University of Wisconsin and championing collegiate recovery efforts at the University of Wisconsin. Thank you, Jake, for always being such a hardcore advocate. And now our current AVP is Dr. Kennedy is just as much of an advocate. Dr. Stowe, who really started the CRC here at UAB. So yeah, I think that's been, just a few of the people. It's so hard because I'm gonna leave people out. That's gonna make me really sad. In all of my interactions with, ARHE, the Higher Ed Center at Ohio State, there is just not one human being that I would say is the most influential. I think it's just this network of humans that are so passionate about collegiate recovery that they're just willing to step up and help out, or give support, or share their experience at any time.
That's a great answer. What has been your favorite collegiate recovery memory?
That's that question too. Oh, okay. It's funny because I was saying this to last night to someone. It's not just like one singular memory, it's a moment. Okay. Yeah. It's this moment that I think we all experience. And if you haven't, hold on, because you're going to. It's that moment when you meet a student who's struggling. And then one day, you just you see the light bulb, right? You just see it click and you see them figure it out and find their place. And you're like, yes, like that. It's that moment. With individual students. And so it's hard to be like, this is the best memory, because it's really a string of them, having worked with different students over the years. So, yeah.
So I guess the success story of students, it must be so rewarding seeing the evolution of students.
It is. And students coming back, years later, I have a relationship with a student I had 10 years ago at Ohio University, and now we're more like friends and communicating on a regular basis, and really watching like her life unfold over the years and the connection we still have. It's so rewarding. I'm like a proud mom all the time.
Oh, that's wonderful. A bit of an easier question now. What are the future plans you have for the CRC?
The big one is just staffing the scholarships, as I had mentioned, and just continual really growth in regards to recruitment, and that's been a big challenge during the time of COVID too, is like, how are we reaching new students? Lo and behold, they are finding us. We have 4 or 5 new students this semester who are also new to UAB, so it's happening. I think my big focus truly is the scholarship piece. I think it is a component that is really needed by our students, and it's just sort of that next key piece for me.
Yeah, this one's a challenge. So you're you're in a room with all the campus presidents and deans of students. What's the one thing that you would tell them about collegiate recovery?
Okay. That, I really want to say like they're the best students out there. I think for me, it always is investing in collegiate recovery it's investing in your institution.
Yeah.
It's investing in your institution. The quality of students that I have worked with, and everyone I've ever talked to, right, who have worked with over the years, over the last 10 years that I've been, in and out of this work, is phenomenal and cannot be understated. And I believe that one of the reasons I didn't stay at my original undergraduate institution is I had zero support. I had no support as a young student in recovery returning to her campus. And when I transferred to Ohio University, there was more support, but then I had the opportunity to build that support for future students. And I've seen what it's done. And so investing in a CRC is investing in your institution.
That's a great answer. Is there anything else you want to add? Is there anything that you feel like would be helpful? Or, it's been so informative anyway.
I think the big thing is, if you're watching this and you're thinking about starting a CRC and you're like, I don't know what to do, like, just reach out. That is, again, I cannot emphasize, is the coolest part about working in this field is no one's sitting around like with trade secrets anywhere. There's a big joke we have, like, there's no rivalry in collegiate recovery, so like there's no, like Michigan versus Ohio State, like we all work together. And there's just this plethora of information out there.
It's really beautiful to watch that level of collaboration.
It is
sharing.
It is. It's a breath of fresh air. I have, I'm sure it exists, but I haven't felt like this, competition. It's, how can we help each other? Even with the University of Alabama, again, who's just 45 minutes down the highway from us, the level of support we've received from our sister institution as we've grown is phenomenal. I really can't think of another field where I see that type of collaboration and willingness to help versus, competition or having like trade secrets, like, oh no, this is mine, I can't share it with you. So pick up the phone, call.
Yeah, and your contact details are right there.
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you for that wonderful content. A reminder to attendees that this is recorded and we'll upload it to YouTube and our ARHE website. If you want to stay connected with us and learn about future webinars, just stay tuned. And Christina, thanks for taking the time to present today. We appreciate everyone's time and hope to see you on our next webinar, which is on the 28th of October, 3 p.m. Eastern, with a number of panelists holding a CRP staff panel discussion. Thanks for your time today and take care.